Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians.
That the Nigerian girl child is subjected to numerous social, cultural, and economic challenges.
Senate worries over the state of the girl child in Nigeria, calls on federal government to declare state of emergency.
It further concerned that the modus operandi of subverting this financial autonomy of local governments by state government through the House of Assembly is to insert clauses in their state laws.
Senate vows to amend Constitution to ensure the full implementation of local government autonomy. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Senate, a program dedicated to keeping you updated on proceedings of the Senate Chamber of the National Assembly and its esteemed lawmakers. I'm your host, Hadiza Bayero Aliu. In this episode of Inside the Senate, we have reports of bills and motions considered alongside actions taken by the Senate in the confirmation of two chief executives of government agencies. The major highlight of Senate's deliberation was the consideration of a motion seeking to prevent some state governments from circumventing the Supreme Court judgment which granted financial autonomy to local governments. These stories and more coming your way after the break. Please stay tuned.
Promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria.
The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023.
And may this act should be supported by all.
There are issues that we must use this opportunity to critically address.
We accord this motion the urgency and the necessity it requires.
I rise the second motion.
The ayes have it.
Welcome back. The Senate on Thursday confirmed the nomination of Professor Abdullahi Usman as the Executive Chairman of the National Hajj Commission. The confirmation followed its receipt and consideration of the report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs presented by Senator Abubakar Bello.
At the end of the screening exercise of the nominee, the committee's findings are as follows. 1. That Professor Abdullahi Saleh Usman's nomination is in line with Section 3, Subsection 2 of the National Hajj Commission NACON Act 2006, that the committee did not receive any petition against his nomination as chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria.
The Senate then dissolved into the Committee of the Whole and considered the recommendations of the report. Thereafter, it reverted to plenary, where the nominee was confirmed.
The nomination of Professor Abdullahi Saleh is hereby confirmed as chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria.
In the same vein, Senator Adebule Idiat also presented the report of the Committee on Poverty Alleviation and Social Investment, which screened Dr. Badamasi Lawal for confirmation and appointment as National Coordinator and Chief Executive Officer, National Social Investment Program Agency, NISPA.
There's no petition against the nominee, and during the screening, the nominee answered satisfactorily various questions on topical issues related to and not limited to social investment in the country. The nominee displayed competence and absolute knowledge on social investment concerns, indicative of his readiness and preparedness for the appointment he was nominated for.
To this end, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio put the question for the confirmation of his appointment, after which the nominee was cleared by a voice vote.
Approved the nomination of Dr. Badamasi Lawal as National Coordinator, Chief Executive Officer, National Social Investment Program Agency. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Yes. Coming under order 41.
On a sad note, Senator Binos Daudayaro drew the attention of the Senate to the demise of Senator Jonathan Salius Zingwina. He sought and obtained leave of the Senate to present the matter.
That I rise to inform the President of the Senate and my distinguished colleagues of the passing of Senator Dr. Jonathan Salius Zingwina, a member of this hallowed chamber who served as a representative of the good people of my senatorial district, Adamawa South, senatorial district of Adamawa State, for 2 terms, from May 1999 to June 2007.
After his presentation, the Red Chamber resolved to send a delegation to participate in his burial program, urge the federal government to name a national edifice in his remembrance, and observe 1 minute silence in his honor.
May the soul of distinguished Senator Dr. Jonathan Silas Wingina rest in perfect peace.
May the soul of late Senator Jonathan Silas Wingina rest in peace. Let's pause here to open our Senate notebook. Do stay with us.
Legislative lobbying is the art of influencing legislative decisions towards a policy or decision. It is championed by a lawmaker or a group of lawmakers with a view to achieving positive objectives. It could also be undertaken by civil society organizations and other pressure groups to press home their interests and desires from legislators.
Inside the Senate continues with updates on the activities of the Red Chamber. Highlights include a motion calling for the provision of a safety net for the girl child. Let's get details of this and other legislative business in our next report, presented from our studio. Do keep watching.
I rise to lead the debate.
During plenary on Tuesday, 8 October 2024, Senator Izunaso Osita Bonaventure sought the leave of the Senate to present the lead debate on a bill for an act to repeal the Investment and Securities Act 2007 and enact the Investment and Securities Bill 2024, and to establish the Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for the Nigerian capital market, amongst other issues.
The bill seeks to repeal the Investment and Security Act 2007 and enact the Investment and Security Act 2024 and to establish the Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for Nigerian capital market, as well as regulation of the market to ensure capital formation and protection of investors.
Some senators supported the bill.
This bill brings right square pegs in the square holes. That's what this bill stands to do. Not only that, the most cherished $1 trillion GDP that we are targeting, this is the engine room in achieving that objective.
As we all know, the Investment and Securities Act guides the operations of the capital market. And of course, the capital market is the market for both medium and long-term funding that is typically sustainable for development. For an environment like ours, we are in a time when we have very high interest rates and, of course, short-term funding provided by most banks. Now, enhancing the capacity of the capital market, I believe very strongly, will help us, attract the stable funding that is required in developing most economies.
The bill was then read a second time and referred to the Committee on Capital Market to revert in 4 weeks.
Further aware.
In a matter of urgent public importance, Senator Abomire Adeniyi Ayodele drew the attention of the Senate to the recent devastating flood that caused destruction in Ondo town.
Mr. President, I wear with deepest sadness that no fewer than 1,000 homes, 25 schools, 20 worship centers, and over 7,000 people were affected and rendered homeless following the heavy downpour of Friday, 4th October 2024.
His motion was supported.
I sympathize with him in particular and the entire people of Ondo Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, having experienced a similar devastation in the last couple of weeks, I know how frustrated he is and the people that were adversely affected.
This motion is a sympathetic motion, and it is, of course, a motion that requires or needs human face. because this has got to do with lives and properties.
As a resolution, the Senate requests Ondo State Government to carry out an urgent assessment and in place measures with a view to finding lasting solution to the menace of flooding which frequently occurs in the affected area. Request the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) to provide immediately relief materials to assist the affected communities. Request the Federal Ministry of Power to ensure that Benin Electricity Distribution Company (BEDC) restores power to the affected communities. Urge the federal government to develop a swift and robust response to the natural disaster issues in the country.
I rise to move.
Same day, Senator Amos K. Yohana drew the attention of the Senate to another matter needing urgent intervention. It centered on the humanitarian crisis caused by flooding in Adamawa North Senatorial District.
I rise to move a motion on the urgent need for intervention in the humanitarian crisis caused by the flooding in Adamawa North Senatorial District. The Senate notes that there was a massive flooding that caused catastrophic destruction in the 5 local governments of Adamawa North Senatorial District.
Prayers in the motion were for the Senate to direct the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) to, as a matter of urgent priority, reach out to the affected communities and provide relief materials to the victims. Direct the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency (FEMA) to intervene in the rehabilitation of Shua, Jigilambu and Baladega Bridge. Mandates the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure NEMA, FEMA carry out the Senate's resolution from date. Mandate relevant agencies to make provisions in the appropriation bill for the dredging of River Niger and River Benue as a proactive measure. The prayers were adopted.
Prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
In another motion, Senator Nwonye Tony drew the attention of the Senate on the urgent need to stop the implementation of actions of state governments which are using their state houses of assembly to enact laws that breach constitutional provisions and the Supreme Court judgment which granted financial autonomy to local government councils.
That despite these constitutional provisions and the binding decision of the Supreme Court, few state governments through their respective state House of Assembly, while some have already enacted laws and continue to take action that undermine the financial autonomy of local governments, thereby breaching the constitutional provision 1999 Constitution as well as the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Resolutions taken at the emergency session, which lasted close to 2 hours, saw the Senate agreeing to urge states and local government councils to fully comply with the recent Supreme Court judgment on the disbursement and utilization of funds accruing to the local government councils in Nigeria. That the Senate do ensure amendments to relevant provisions of the Constitution to provide for full autonomy of the local government councils in the country.
The plight of the Nigerian girl
In another
child.
motion titled The Plight of the Nigerian Girl Child and the Need for Urgent Intervention by the Federal Government to Save the Future of Our Girls, Senator Ireti Kingibe lamented the over 10 million out-of-school children with the girl child disproportionately affected.
The Senate notes that the Nigerian girl child is subjected to numerous social, cultural, and economic challenges that severely limit her opportunities for growth, development, and contributions to society, including the denial of education, gender-based violence, early marriage, and poor healthcare access.
Lawmakers contributed to the motion.
I think it's coming at a very correct time because a few days from now, the whole world will be celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child. And I think it's an opportunity for us to ask ourselves in Nigeria, how well have we done in promoting bringing these challenges that the girl child has?
It's very important, especially in the rural areas, to carry out enlightenment campaign by the federal government in collaboration with the state government, which will give more effect in ensuring that the girl child are given the opportunity to be educated.
Prayers for the motion were for the Senate to urge state governments yet to domesticate the Child Rights Act, to do so with attendant eradication of harmful traditional practices like female genital mutilation. Mandate its Committee on Legislative Compliance to monitor the implementation of girl-child protection laws and policies. The motion was voted on and adopted.
And those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Still on motions, Senator Abba Patrick Moro raised a matter titled The Sham Local Government Elections of Saturday, 5th October 2024, Abuse of the Constitution and Need for Intervention by the Senate. The lawmaker noted that on the 5th of October 2024, local government council elections were scheduled to hold in Benue State and in other parts of Nigeria, and while the electorate excitedly trooped out in their numbers to exercise their franchise to elect leaders, they waited in vain as neither election materials nor electoral officers showed up in many of the polling stations, while winners were denied certificates of returns.
The Senate further notes that in most places elections took place in the private homes of the chieftains of the ruling party, making the entire process a mere coronation of candidates of the ruling party, and not a proper election is contemplated under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended.
Some senators shared their thoughts on the matter.
Every time local elections are held in any state, the dominant party, the party in control of that state, hardly misses even a councillorship position. Either opposition parties would decide not to join, not to participate, because they think that they won't make any headway to win anything. Or they will participate, and then the party in power in the state will win almost everything, except perhaps, like we have just witnessed, miraculously, you got one. You got one.
The sham of local government election goes beyond party lines. I think that's the conclusion of the Senate, and that there is need for us to do something to reposition the local government as a third tier of government. But what you are seeing here is that it has never really been a third tier of government. So we commend the Supreme Court of Nigeria for the ruling that the funds of local government should go direct to the local governments. But then we, on our part, in the National Assembly, must give Philip. We must take the next step to ensure that the decision that has been so far given by the Supreme Court becomes alive.
Thereafter, the Senate resolved to condemn the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission's blatant disregard for democratic principles in the sham local government election of Saturday, 5th October 2024, urged the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct elections in those places where elections did not hold and allow the people to choose the representatives of their choice. Urged relevant government institutions to nullify the sham elections and do the right thing in line with laid down principles of law. Further urged the federal government to deny allocations to local government councils where selections were done akin to appointment of caretaker committees.
You are still watching Inside the Senate, bringing you highlights from proceedings of the Red Chamber of the National Assembly and its members. On Tuesday, 8th October 2024, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, received the South Korean ambassador to Nigeria, Kim Pan-kyu. Speaking during the visit, the ambassador said it was to further strengthen the relationship with Nigeria, stating that economic exchange has been a pillar of bilateral relations.
Economic exchange has been a pillar bilateral relations between our two countries since the establishment of diplomatic relations. I believe the potential for economic cooperation right now is greater than ever. The Korean government is trying to deepen its relationship with African countries, as you can see from the Korean-Africa Summit held in last June.
Responding to his remarks, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, described the visit as a major milestone that will further consolidate the bilateral cooperation between Nigeria and South Korea, stating areas where both countries can collaborate and maximize the move.
For us, this visit is a major milestone. It further consolidates the bond between our two countries, Nigeria and the Republic of Korea. And I must say that, yeah, like you have enunciated, there are many areas of cooperation, from the burning issue of climate change, which Nigeria is one of those greatly affected today.
We'll wrap up the program with our profile segment. Stay tuned for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Ireti Kingibe is the current senator representing the FCT in the 10th Senate. She was born on 2nd June 1954 in Kano State. Her pursuit for education started at Emoton Preparatory School, after which she attended Queen's College Lagos and Washington Irving High School for her secondary school education. She bagged a degree in civil engineering from the University of Minnesota, USA. Senator Kingibe started her career as a quality control engineer with Bradley Precast Concrete Incorporated from 1978 to 1979. She then moved on to work with the Minnesota Department of Transportation Design Unit, where she also worked as an engineer from 1979 to 1981. She returned to Nigeria for her one-year mandatory service year between 1981 and 1982 and was posted to work as a project supervisor with the Nigerian Air Force Base in Ikeja, Lagos. In same 1982, after her NYSC, she got to work with the New Nigeria Construction Company Kaduna as a planning engineer. In 1985, she left New Nigeria Construction Company to work as a consultant for Belsam Limited. Senator Kingibe then became the regional engineer for Lodigiani Nigeria Limited, Lagos between 1990 and 1994. She currently is a senior partner with Kelnick Associates Abuja. Senator Ireti Kingibe's political career began in 1990 with her appointment as advisor to the national chairman of the defunct Social Democratic Party SDP. In 2003, she was the FCT senatorial candidate for the All Nigerian People's Party ANPP. She later defected to the People's Democratic Party PDP in 2006. However, in 2014, she joined the All Progressives Congress APC, under which she ran for senator in 2015, but later withdrew from the race. In 2022, she joined the Labour Party LP and became its FCT senatorial candidate for the 2023 Nigerian elections, which she won. She currently serves as the chairman, Senate Committee on Women Affairs of the 10th Senate. Her legislative interests lie in the areas of women empowerment, education, and security.
On that note, we end this episode of Inside the Senate. You can connect with us via our social media platforms showing on your screen to review these and other episodes of the program. Until we meet again, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.